Sarah Mitchell was 39 years old and worked as a senior officer in the U.S. Army. She lived alone in a quiet house in Seattle, Washington. Her life was simple, organized, and disciplined because years in the military had taught her how to stay calm during hard situations. One cold Tuesday morning, while she was making coffee before work, she received a strange phone call from a bank manager named Michael Reed. His voice sounded nervous and low as he said, "Ms. Mitchell, your father is here with a woman claiming to be your mother." Sarah almost laughed because the statement sounded impossible. Her mother, Linda Mitchell, was on vacation in Greece and had been sending pictures every day. Sarah calmly replied, "That can't be true. My mother is overseas." But the manager stayed quiet for a moment before softly saying, "The woman has your mother's identification documents, and she looks exactly like her." Sarah suddenly felt cold. The coffee machine hissed softly behind her while normal life continued outside her window, but inside her heart something felt terribly wrong. She quickly changed clothes and drove toward the bank while many questions filled her mind. She trusted facts more than emotions, and deep inside she knew something dangerous was happening. When she arrived at the bank, the workers looked uncomfortable and nervous. The manager quietly guided her to a private office and pointed through a small glass window. Sarah's father, Robert Mitchell, sat at the table beside a woman who looked almost exactly like her mother. Same hair, same smile, same posture. For 1 second Sarah's heart almost believed it, but then she noticed small differences. The wedding ring was on the wrong hand, and the woman's behavior felt rehearsed instead of natural. Sarah immediately understood that someone had carefully studied her mother for a long time. The bank manager explained that they were trying to change ownership of family properties and transfer large amounts of money. Sarah knew her real mother would never make such serious decisions without speaking to her first. She asked to speak alone with her father. When Robert entered the office, he looked angry instead of surprised. Sarah calmly asked him why he brought another woman pretending to be his wife. Robert insisted the woman was Linda, but Sarah could see fear and dishonesty in his eyes. Her father had never been good at hiding guilt. During childhood, Sarah learned to recognize every small sign when he was lying or hiding something. She soon realized her younger brother Jason was involved too. Jason had spent most of his life making bad financial choices, losing jobs, borrowing money, and depending on family to rescue him. Their father always protected him while Sarah was expected to stay strong and solve her own problems quietly. Sarah later called her real mother through video chat. Linda answered from a sunny cafe in Greece, shocked and confused when Sarah asked about copies of her passport and personal documents. Linda explained that Robert had requested them before her trip, saying the bank needed updated records. At that moment Sarah realized the entire plan had been prepared long before that morning. Instead of going home, Sarah drove around the city trying to understand why her father would betray his own wife and daughter. Later that evening she secretly visited her parents' house and discovered something horrifying inside the garage. There were printers, copied documents, fake signatures, practice papers, and photographs of the woman pretending to be her mother. Sarah sat silently in shock because this was not a misunderstanding anymore. It was a carefully organized lie created by her own family. Soon the bank manager called again and revealed the fake woman's name was Diane Carter, a former theater actress. Everything suddenly made sense. Diane had been trained to behave like Linda. Sarah also learned that her father planned to transfer most of the family property to Jason because Jason was drowning in debt. Robert believed Sarah was strong enough to survive without help, but he thought Jason would collapse without rescuing him again. Sarah felt deep pain because she realized her father had spent years treating strength like it meant she needed less love. Friday morning finally arrived. Sarah went back to the bank while rain poured heavily outside. This time Jason and Diane were both there with Robert, ready to finalize the paperwork. The room felt tense and cold as lawyers and bank officials began asking questions to verify Diane's identity. At first Diane answered confidently, but soon her mistakes started showing. She answered personal family questions incorrectly and kept looking at Robert for help. Jason became nervous while Sarah calmly corrected every lie. Finally, the truth collapsed completely. Jason admitted they only wanted money because his debts had become uncontrollable. Diane removed the jewelry she had copied from Linda and quietly confessed she did not fully understand how serious the situation was. Robert finally looked defeated and exhausted instead of angry. Sarah placed a photograph on the table showing evidence of the entire plan. Silence filled the room. Years of hidden family pain finally stood exposed in front of everyone. After the meeting ended, the bank froze all financial changes and opened an investigation. Later that evening, Sarah drove to her parents' home where her real mother had finally returned from Greece. Linda looked heartbroken but calm. Robert sat alone in the kitchen looking older and weaker than Sarah had ever seen him before. For the first time in years, he admitted he had only wanted to protect Jason because he feared losing him completely. Sarah quietly replied, "I would have helped him too if you had trusted me with the truth." Robert lowered his head because he finally understood how badly he had hurt his family. He had spent years believing strong children do not need emotional care, while weaker children deserve endless protection. But every child, no matter how successful or independent, still needs love, honesty, respect, and kindness from parents. Parents have the responsibility to treat all children fairly, guide them with truth, and never sacrifice one child's peace for another child's mistakes. Children also have responsibilities toward parents, to respect them, support them during old age, speak gently, and protect family relationships instead of destroying them. A healthy family survives through honesty, balance, trust, and emotional understanding. Sarah eventually returned to her own home carrying a quieter heart. She realized true strength does not mean suffering silently forever. Real strength means knowing your worth, speaking the truth respectfully, and refusing to disappear just because others fail to appreciate you. Sometimes family pain teaches the deepest lessons about love, fairness, forgiveness, and self-respect.